Hello and welcome to Pineapple Talk. I'm Leah, founder and president of Pineapple Support, a charity set up in 2018 for people working in the adult performance industry. We offer a support tech service provided by trained volunteer listeners and an online therapy service staffed by qualified counsellors, psychologists, coaches, and psychotherapists.
Hello, and I'm Shelley, a psychotherapist who's been involved with Pineapple Support since its conception.
If you'd like to find out more about Pineapple Support, you can visit the website pineapplesupport.org.
So in this session, this is the second part of a 4-part series focusing on anxiety. All of our guests have careers in the adult industry and have personal experiences in coping with anxiety. So really keen to hear their thoughts and views.
So in this session, we are talking to Goddess Brandon. Brandon is one of our ambassadors. And has been on a number of our previous shows. And she's been, how long have you been performing now?
I started, modeling and taking shoots, I think around 2007. And then I started producing my own content in 2008.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like 13 years now. It's a lot. It's been a journey.
I have 10 years written down here, and I was thinking, no, I'm sure that's changed now. You work mainly on the fetish side of the porn industry, and I think that's originally. Did we meet at one of the fetish conferences? I think
we originally met face to face was at Fetish Con, and yeah, my career's predominantly been in the fetish side of things. I've dabbled with some other stuff, but for the most part, fetish and femdom all the way.
And your Twitter handle, of course, is goddessb_dom.
Right.
So thank you so much for joining us today. I think, as I said, the topic this is anxiety. Tell us about your anxiety and how it affects you.
My anxiety is a bit tricky. It likes to come and go. Some days I feel, like a perfectly normal functioning human being. You know what I mean? I just wake up and go about my day. And other days it's, a crippling experience just to get up and go make coffee. I thought maybe as I got older, it would get better or easier. And I've learned as I've gotten older, my anxiety has just changed. So with that, I've had to change the way I cope with it and deal with it. I think also with 2020 and all of the unexpected surprises it brought, through a whole new set of new anxieties and things into the mix too, that I've had to learn to cope with and roll with.
So how does that affect your work? If you some days you can get up, some days you can't. I mean, I'm guessing then being your own boss and working in the adult industry has its huge benefits.
It's awesome. I will say, I can't complain. It's provided me a fantastic life. I love working for myself. I do love being my own boss, setting my own hours, but every single one of those things is actually a fantastic catch when you have anxiety, because it's so easy to tell your boss, who's yourself, I'm just going to sit this one out today. It's easy to get inside your own head and try to put off all of your responsibilities because anxiety is got a hold of you today. Whereas for me personally, a lot of my anxiety comes from like outside pressure that may not even exist. So I realized that perhaps if I had a regular everyday job, I probably would force myself to go. I have a tendency to find that it's easier to make excuses as a self-employed person, but that's motivated me to become a self-motivator and to really acknowledge that when I feel it happening, so I can, find reasons to get up and do it. Perhaps I have things going on later this week that I don't want to get messed up. And by procrastinating what I need to do today, it's only going to just create that downward spiral where everything gets thrown out of whack. So, it can be both good and bad to be self-employed when you're also throwing a little bit of like anxiety and depression into the mix.
When you say outside pressure, what type of things do you find trigger you? What kind of outside pressures?
Oh my goodness. Well, just a silly one, but it's like I literally was dealing with this morning. I have a tendency to put a lot of pressure on myself because I care so much about what other people think, and I don't like disappointing people. I don't like letting anyone down. Later on this week, I had some plans to go out of town for the evening and kind of go out and do some things, whatever. But for me personally, as you know, I'm very much a homebody. I'm in bed by 9:30, wide awake at 5:30 a.m. Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, doesn't matter. So for me, I knew already that it was out of my comfort zone, but I was really trying to just kind of go with the flow. And finally today, 2 days out, I just know without a doubt that I don't want to go. I wouldn't have a good time. And I was kind of pushing myself because I don't like to disappoint people. So just sending that message today, saying that unfortunately I wasn't going to be able to make it. And of course, there was no problem. My friends didn't care. They were like, no worries, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But literally, I'm not kidding you. I have been awake since 3:30 this morning, processing how I was going to cancel plans because I over concern myself with disappointing people. What if they're upset with me? What if they're angry with me? Just the littlest things. I really care a lot about what other people think and if I'm disappointing them. So I have a tendency to put a lot of unnecessary pressure on myself, from big things to canceling a speakeasy date night. Like, come on.
And it sounds like that rational part of your brain kind of just goes offline there in terms of thinking, yeah, these are my friends, they love me, they're not gonna, they'll be fine with this. It's not a big deal.
It's so true.
Something for you, as you say, that it just overrides that thinking part for you and just go, wow, in a sense.
I have a partner who's gotten to know me over the years. And so I can when I feel like maybe I'm skirting around this irrational concern or I'm amplifying my anxiety with worrying about things that don't really need any worry, I kind of run it past my partner, and just be like, hey, I'm thinking about fill in the blank, what do you think about that? And it's kind of like, well, I mean, what do you think about it? It's not my plans, and whatever you decide to do is just fine. Like, don't worry about it so much. And that kind of helps me realize that, okay, I definitely did not need to be up since 3:30 this morning trying to figure out how to cancel a date night. That's absurd. You're right. Should go about my day.
Great that you've got that person to bounce it off about. That must be a huge support.
It definitely, I mean, whether it's friendship, family members, a spouse, whatever the case is, I think that it's really important to have connected relationships in which you can genuinely be yourself, including your anxious self, your crazy self, your in the blue self, your happy self, whatever it is, because that's how we all learn to look out for each other and can kind of help each other when we start spiraling out of control. No one should have to ride out this adventure on this rock alone.
So we had Andrea on the previous show, and she was also saying that when she has an anxiety attack, a panic attack, she contacts a certain friend that she knows can always calm her down. Yeah. So yeah, it's just super important to have a support group around you.
Agreed. Big, small, it definitely is.
So, gently. Is there? Do you feel there's a pattern sometimes that you can go through, like a few weeks? It could be every month, every year, or at a particular time, or something. Is there a pattern, do you feel, or is it quite random?
Well, for me personally, I will say, like, some of the holidays and stuff, my anxiety and stuff might be a little more peaked than normal, but I'm a creature of habit, which I probably do also because of my anxiety. So really, it's when certain things get thrown off. You know what I mean? When something suddenly changes in my day-to-day schedule that was unexpected, will often send me into like an anxious tailspin. I like consistency. I like routine. I'm like uber boring, and I have no problems with admitting it because I like to I am a bit of a control freak because that's how I manage my anxiety. It's just, like, I know I'm going to go to the gym at this time. I know what time I'm going to eat lunch. I know without fail, I'm going to be out of bed every morning by a certain time, probably asleep by a certain time. And these things all kind of help me stay calm as long as the train just keeps moving forward.
Yeah,
So it's that routine and structure, isn't it? It's one to
Yeah.
hold on to.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. I know when someone cancels on me, even if it's not something I was that interested in, at least I knew this was going to happen, and I had 2 hours of this, and then I was going to eat then, and blah blah blah. And this is how my day is structured. And then one thing changes, well, everything's fucked now. It's not. It's not. You've got 2 hours of your day to fill up, and you could have done that anyway. But that's not the point.
Exactly. And I have to have that internal dialogue that put it in perspective. It's fine. It's not fucked. It's just changed. And that's what, I've tried to just be like, listen, no need to overreact to anything. Just go with the flow. It'll be fine.
The inner dialogue, the angel and the devil going, it's okay, it's going to be fine. It's not going to be fine.
Dialogue, like, just go home and say F it. And I'm like, no, we got to get this done. It's going to be fine. We got this. We're just going to go to the next thing. It's cool. Yeah, I do. I probably spend a lot of time talking to myself and trying to rationalize things to myself. Like, listen, we're going to do this. Like, a stupid one for anxiety for me is I have gym anxiety. It's not, I'm fine. Once I get there, I have a hard time walking into the damn building. Like, it's like someone's expecting me to give blood when I get there. I don't understand it. But I have seriously weird gym anxiety. Sometimes I hop out of my car and I walk right in and I scan my little card and I do my thing. And other times I sit in my car for 20 minutes and I have to talk myself into going inside. Like, that's one of those weird things. Going to the gym is also not always consistent for me because, like we said, life happens. So I believe sometimes that's what causes the anxiety, because maybe I wasn't planning on going to the gym that day at 1 p.m. and maybe there's like 10 more cars there than are usually there. And I'm like, oh no, humans. And I start melting, just losing it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I guess I was just thinking, what helps you? Because gym again is, doing exercise. We kind of know that does help, everyone really, in terms of our blood pressure, anxiety levels, our mental health. What else do you kind of add in to help you cope with anxiety?
Well, one, definitely once I get into the gym, that's a huge one. That's why I always persevere. I've yet to just leave. I always go and do the things, which is good. But, I would definitely say going to the gym, sticking with my routine is a big one. I understand that a lot of people can't schedule everything in their day-to-day life, but anything that you can, schedule, any kind of routine you can keep, whether it's what time you make for your self-care on a day-to-day, weekly basis. Routine has been a game changer for me over the past decade. I've focused on that, and it makes me a happier, healthier person to maintain it.
And you mentioned earlier, of course, about COVID, which we've all obviously worldwide have been experiencing. But I imagine then for someone, as you say, you're very clear that you really like routine and structure. This has really thrown a curveball amongst many other things, of course. But
it really did. It took some serious adjusting because I have a small child who was in school, and March 13th happened. It was first day of spring break, and then he literally never went back again until 2 weeks ago. As we discussed, I work from home, and I don't work in an environment where it's like, hey, just hang out and do your thing. I have to do a studio, I have to do all the things. So rearranging my whole entire life to be able to continue to provide for my family while also being there to take care of my family during this time has been very, very tricky. But we're all kind of getting into a routine and trying to make it work. But yeah, I would definitely say this year has tried my anxiety levels like never before.
Yeah. When you start feeling anxious, how does that feel for you? How does that physically feel?
If it's just something that is probably going to pass in a few moments, it might be an accelerated heart rate, sweaty palms is a big one for me. Just a feeling of being flushed with heat. If I'm about to enter a real crash